Hello, ladies and gentlemen. What's up? What's up? So my name is Michael Music. Uh, we're gonna today do a summary on the fourth step toward riches in this book, Think and Grow Rich. A little bit about me. I just graduated college in May with a mechanical engineering degree, but truthfully, I am a professional salesman. So I got into sales since I was 19, and I'm currently 22. Right now, I am just selling software. But I remember when I started my first business when I was a freshman in college, it was a painting business, and I ended up going through this whole internship program, and at the end of it, I ended up failing with the business throughout the summer, and that kind of set me back. And so I was looking for a way to kind of figure out like what happened here, like why did I not make it in this business? And so then I started getting into reading just books on success and whatnot, and I came across this book when I was 19 years old called Think and Grow Rich. And I've heard it recommended by lots of people on the internet. So I gave it a read. And what happened after I read it the first time was specifically nothing that I realized. And I was thinking, like, oh, I thought I would get rich after reading this book. And as time went on, I realized, oh, this isn't a book you can just read once and understand. So I've read it over and over again. And after reading it multiple times, I was like, okay, now I'm starting to see that this is more so a philosophy than a book. And I'm also noticing that I'm still not getting rich. So what am I doing in this video? I decided that I would just have an open conversation about the book. And my intention is, okay, let's actually apply the things that he's saying in this book. It's not just a book that you read, it's a book that you want to take action on. Do the little things, right? They require no physical effort. Everything that he suggests in this book, I can truly do from this desk. So that is all to say, kind of why I am making these summary videos in this course. And without further ado, what we're going to do today is have a conversation about specialized knowledge and the difference between that and general knowledge, and how does this come into play into the entire philosophy. So Napoleon Hill starts out the chapter saying that general knowledge, no matter how great in quantity or variety it may be, is of but little use in the accumulation of money. So that's going to say that general knowledge will not help you get rich. You can have all the general knowledge you want, and you may be able to win the game of Jeopardy, but that's not going to help you get rich. And what is going to help you get rich? Well, furthermore, Napoleon Hill keeps going on about knowledge. He says that knowledge will not attract money unless it is organized and intelligently directed through practical plans of action to the definite end of accumulation of money. So, so when I read this, I thought to myself, okay, so there's two equations to this. Let's face it, the rich, they have knowledge. They have this certain knowledge. They know certain secrets out there that the poor and middle class may not know. But what do they do with the knowledge? Because I noticed that it's only 50% of the equation. In my head, this is what I think of it as. Like knowledge is the 50%. And I got all this knowledge. I went to college, got my degree, whatnot. But what am I doing with the knowledge? So there's the other 50% of organizing and intelligently directing this knowledge through practical plans of action to the definite end of the accumulation of money. So let's break that down. What's the definite end that you want, right? What's your definite major purpose? Like, and don't think of it as, oh my God, I have to think of my purpose in life. Think of it as, okay, so like, what do I want? Like, what do I want out of this life? And what knowledge do I need to attract to attain it? And what's the plan that I'm going to put into action to get there? And does the plan have to be the right plan right away? Or can I adjust the plan throughout time as I go along to the definite end, right? Why would I be accumulating knowledge in the first place? To help me get to the definite end. So it really all starts with this definite end. And this is, like I said, just one factor into the whole philosophy, but it does play a vital role. I like this also. He says that knowledge is only potential power. Hill says it becomes power only when and if it is organized into definite plans of action and directed to a definite end. So back, we're repeating ourselves here, right? What's the definite end, and what's the difference between knowledge and true power? Why is knowledge not yet power? Why can you read all these books? Like I have this library behind me. Why can I read all these books and it's not doing the justice? Because all these books behind me, this book I'm even reading right now is only potential power, and it only becomes power when it is organized into definite plans of action and directed to a definite end. So I really enjoyed this because he explains that this was the missing link in school, in college, you name it. The educational institutions fail to teach their students how to organize and use knowledge after they acquired it. Right? I've been through college and there was a bunch of information that they were just throwing at me, and I had to study, learn to memorize it. I went to school to become a mechanical engineer, and I was going to school thinking that, hey, maybe I can become rich becoming an engineer. And they threw all these physics classes at me, and I had my whole mind filled up with all this BS equations. And essentially, I got all this great knowledge. I had all the knowledge I needed to do something with it, but but I was missing the other 50%. Right? I had all the general knowledge, but I'm missing the 50% of turning this knowledge into definite plans of action directed to a definite end. Now, I liked Napoleon Hill's definition of educated. It's a different definition than what most people have. A lot of people think that, okay, you go to school, you go to college, maybe you don't go to college, but you go to some other school, some trade school. And after you've done that, you are officially educated. But Napoleon Hill thinks of it differently, which actually resonates more with me. He says, an educated man is one who has so developed the faculties of his mind that he may acquire anything he wants or its equivalent without violating the rights of others. So, a couple of questions I have is, are you able to get whatever it is that you want yet? And that's a big question. And for most, as a matter of fact, for 99% of the people probably watching, the answer is most likely no. So why do I say this? He's saying that an educated man is one who has so developed the faculties of his mind that he may acquire anything he wants or its equivalent without violating the rights of others. Let's say you follow this idea of being educated. What does that mean to so develop the faculties of your own mind? That's kind of what we're doing here. This book is a little play on psychology. I actually found I learned more about psychology from reading this book and as well as multiple other Napoleon Hill books than I would have truly found getting a whole psychology degree from university. I truly believe that, and I won't touch up any more on that. But at the end of the day, even though it doesn't matter what degree you got from school, let's just face it, no matter what degree you got from school, we got a bunch of general knowledge, and we're not we're not doing the other half of the equation. And so at the end of the day, there's a reason why our professors are they're doing well. Let's face it, they're doing well. My professors with the PhD, they're making 130,000, but they'll admit that they're being capped at around 130 grand. And that we're talking about like a mechanical engineering PhD. So they're not getting truly rich, and they're smart, right? Most people think like, oh, you gotta be so intelligent to get rich, and it's truly not the case. It's different than being intelligent, is what I believe. So further backing up what educated means, he says again that any man is educated who knows where to get knowledge when he needs it and how to organize that knowledge into definite plans of action. So do you know 5 areas that you can get definite knowledge whenever you need it? And then furthermore, once you accomplish that of understanding where you can get the knowledge, do you know how to put all of this knowledge that you have just acquired into definite plans of action, once again, towards your definite end? So a great point is brought up about Andrew Carnegie, and he was in the seal business. And he, as a matter of fact, was the richest man in the world at the time. And he's the person who inspired Napoleon Hill to find the philosophy on success. And funny enough, the Andrew Carnegie was in the seal business. He was the richest man at the time, and Napoleon Hill says in this book he actually knew nothing about steel and about the business. So how why was Andrew Carnegie so important in this business's success? Because Napoleon Hill said that Andrew Carnegie mastered keeping people in harmony. He formed a mastermind, and what he was able to do was anyone in his mastermind had the knowledge that he need. And so what he focused his time on was keeping them in a spirit of absolute harmony so that they can work together towards a definite end. And that was how he was the mastermind in this. And the key was okay, so I'll say the key to that story right here. Napoleon Hill says the accumulation of great fortunes calls for power, and power is acquired through highly organized and intelligently directed specialized knowledge. But that knowledge does not necessarily have to be in the possession of the man who accumulates the fortune. I want to break that down because we just talked about Andrew Carnegie knowing nothing about steel, and you probably don't even believe that statement that I just said, and that's absolutely fine. I had a hard time believing it myself, but he's saying here that let's break this paragraph down. The accumulation of great fortunes calls for power. All right, what is power? And power is acquired through highly organized and intelligently directed specialized knowledge. So how is power acquired? How is how do you obtain power in this case? I feel like power is brought up multiple times in this book, and what I truly like side note, what I truly like about this book is we're talking about how to develop true power. Like we're not talking about strength and how to invest in this stock or real estate or this cryptocurrency. We're talking about can we apply these principles to acquire true power to whatever it is that you want? Like that's what's cool about it. You can have different wants than what I want, but at the end of the day, we're still looking for the power to get that. Okay. But and he says the knowledge does not necessarily have to be in the possession of the man who accumulates the fortune. He says further down, the man who can organize and direct a mastermind group of men who possess knowledge useful in the accumulation of money is just as much a man of education as any man in the group. So I know I jumped down a few lines, but he's talking about Andrew Carnegie saying that Andrew Carnegie was able to organize and direct a mastermind group of men who possessed all the knowledge that he needed for the accumulation of his riches. And so Napoleon Hill is equating him like, even though all these men probably had high degrees, were experts in their field, were probably masters of steel, Andrew Carnegie was a master of keeping this mastermind at bay and keeping it into perfect harmony. And Napoleon Hill is saying that he is just as much educated as any of these other men who got these degrees, that did all the studying and all the testing just to prove that they're experts in this steel industry, or whatever it was. So I really like this stuff. I'm gonna pause for a sec. So like what I learned from it all, from just like these few pages that we talked about so far, essentially knowledge is only potential power. I think of it as 50% of the equation. And then there's also the other equation of directing this knowledge into action through definite plans towards a definite end. So that's a big takeaway. And then we're talking about specialized knowledge. Like that's what this whole chapter is about. And the big breakthrough I found out was you do not need to have all the knowledge in your possession right now to get started. You just have to understand that it's there, and you have to work at this principle of finding the sources of knowledge where you can attain it from. And I guess that's a great transition to explaining what those five sources are. So he says that your next move requires that you have accurate information concerning dependable sources of knowledge. And these sources of knowledge, right? Like think of it as, instead of the thing that you need to know, think about this as the source, like where did this knowledge come from? And let me just explain. So A, one's own experience and education. B, experience and education available through the cooperation of others, also known as a mastermind alliance. C, colleges and universities. D, public libraries through books and periodicals in which may be found all the knowledge organized by civilization. And finally, E, special training courses through night schools and night study schools in particular. So these five sources, what are the five sources? Your own experience, the masterminds, college, university, higher education, public libraries, and special courses. Right back then, he's called it night school, but now we're in a period of time where everything is kind of like online courses and at-home study. So these are the five sources which you can obtain any knowledge that you need, and so you have to be due diligent about what knowledge are you acquiring, why are you acquiring it, and what's the intention. Like how is this going to help you get to the definite end that you set out in the first week that we talked about this book in Desire. So once again, I love, we're just going to repeat ourselves here. Napoleon Hill says afterwards, as knowledge is acquired, it must be organized and put into use for a definite purpose through practical plans. Knowledge has no value except that which can be gained from its application toward some worthy end. Knowledge has no value except that which can be gained from its application toward some worthy end. So I like let's face it, we're repeating ourselves. I feel like I've said the importance of organizing, putting it towards a definite purpose, making practical plans and taking action on that. I think I said that 3 times now. And I notice throughout this chapter, he repeats himself so that you truly don't miss the secret that he's trying to lay out here. All right. And last thing I want to say that Hill says is successful men in all callings never stop acquiring specialized knowledge related to their major purpose, business, or profession. So let me ask you, after school ended for you, did you say like that's it? I'm done getting educated. I'm done learning new things? Or have you made it a habit yet to continuously work towards acquiring new knowledge with good intention to getting the thing that you want. Now we're gonna uh, wrap this chapter up on the idea of we're gonna wrap this chapter up on the idea of paying for knowledge and the idea of why, right, like public schools, why is there so many straight A students, like myself included, that went through public schools, free education, that did not value it as much as they did? Why do everyone in the United States at least has to go to school, at least up to through a high school? And why is it that none of a majority of these kids don't value the school, what we learned in school and whatnot? And Napoleon Hill touches up on it that the issue is that we're not paying the price for it. All this education is free. And so we kind of take it for granted. And Napoleon Hill says here that anything acquired without effort and without cost is generally unappreciated, often discredited, and perhaps this is why we get so little from our marvelous opportunity in public schools. So what does that mean to you? What does that mean to you that okay, school is free. Maybe I didn't try as hard as I could have. And why was the case? Why was I not valuing the education I got from public schools? Because I never paid the price for it. And so I say that even to say, like, you probably, if you're watching this YouTube video or Facebook Live or whatever, however you're watching this, if you haven't paid for this, if you haven't actually paid a physical price of monetary value, then you may be taking this as just another YouTube video that came up on your feed. And you may not be valuing this information as much. I know for a fact I sure as hell did not value this stuff as much as I do now. And a big part of me could be valuing it more. So I say that all to say, like, there's it pays to purchase knowledge. It pays to know where to find good, accurate knowledge, and it pays to understand the value of specialized knowledge. Uh, okay, so I'm gonna probably wrap up this chapter with a couple more things that I underlined that really stuck out to me. He goes on to repeat himself. One of the strange things about human beings is that they value only that which has a price. So, what's the price of your dreams? What's the price of the thing that you truly want out of life? What's the price of the definite end that you say you want, that you say you're going to? What is that price? And are you willing to pay that price to get there? Now, I really like this quote. This was just some extra, right? We talked about specialized knowledge. I feel like we touched up enough on the knowledge part, but this was something I really found interesting in this line right here. Napoleon Hill says, I believe that close association with one who refuses to compromise with the circumstances he does not like is an asset that can never be measured in terms of money. I found that really interesting. Uh, do you have someone in your life that you see that doesn't accept the things that life throws at him or her? Do you have someone in your life that, or someone maybe that you follow on social media, that you notice this guy doesn't care what's in his way. He doesn't care what obstacles life has thrown at him. He's gonna keep I'm just watching him. He keeps going. And he's saying that close association with one who refuses to compromise with circumstances he does not like is an asset that can never be measured in terms of money. So even if you don't have this person in your life, what can you do? Who can you look for moving forward to find someone that's not going to settle down and give up at the first sign of temporary defeat. I really did like that quote. And yeah, I guess I'll end it here. He finally wraps up this chapter, sharing a couple stories of sound ideas that have made certain individuals fortunes. And I don't need to dive deep into the stories because they're there to read, and he says it better than I could. But the moral of the story was that these people, they came up with these great ideas, and they actually took action. They did the things that we just talked about in this video, and they made a bloody fortune off these ideas. And I really like this, that he says there's no fixed price for sound ideas. Let's say you come up with whatever it is that you come up with next. That is the next big thing. That is that is a sound idea. You can He's saying that you can determine the price of that. I know some people, they made courses on this book, Think and Grow Rich, and they sold their courses on their understanding of the book for $2,000 a course. And that got me thinking, like, just for reading this book and sharing it to you, there's a chance that I could sell this course. I can organize this into a course and sell it for $2,000 in the future. Now, of course, I have to make it valuable enough for someone to buy, but it's so cool that you can come up with an idea, and you can determine the price of what it's worth. And if you make yourself valuable enough in the marketplace, then you will get paid in accordance to the law of compensation, which I guess I'll just dive deep into real quick. It says the law of compensation is basically you get paid according to one, the need for what you do, two, your ability to do it, and three, the difficulty there is in replacing you. So, can you focus on your ability to do the thing that you do best so much that will cover number three, which is the difficulty there is in replacing you. If you're the best and the best at it, no one's going to replace you. But okay, now I'm going on a tangent right now. So I want to ask you, what'd you learn, what'd you like from this chapter, specialized knowledge? We're going to wrap it up there. That was a brief summary on it. Interestingly enough, I definitely got some new insights into what specialized knowledge means to me now, what it means to be educated, the different sources of where knowledge comes from. It's definitely an interesting thing for me to know. And I would definitely challenge your current thinking and ask you, does all this make sense to you? Are you able to really think about life in a different way in terms of acquiring knowledge? Have you maybe stopped acquiring knowledge at a certain period of time, and you're thinking now, okay, maybe I do got to still learn more and educate myself? Or are you maybe an individual who's able to acquire all the knowledge, read all the books on even success, all the great books, and are you like thinking like, all right, like what am I missing? Like I'm reading all these books. I know all these billionaires read books. What am I missing? Have you found out that other factor of the equation that you were missing? And what does that look like to you? What's the plan that you're going to put into action towards a definite end? So these are just some thoughts on my mind. I want to definitely thank you all for watching. This was Thinking Real Rich, the summary on specialized knowledge. I felt like I did a fairly good job at just sharing this conversation with you. And as always, I want to make this an open conversation. Whatever thoughts you have on this, I'm all ears to listen to. And with that being said, I'll leave you how I always leave you until we meet again in time and space. You could be checking this recording out down the road. It could be 30, 50, 70 years from now. I could be literally passed away by the time you're watching this video, but it doesn't matter. Until we meet again in time and space. Bye for now. Peace out, YouTube.